Cartier, a name that has resonated in the world's most privileged circles for over 100 years. Its creations have accompanied kings and queens, princesses and duchesses during the most important moments of their lives, from weddings to coronations. But behind each of these jeweled masterpieces lies not only refined design and masterful craftsmanship, but also remarkable human stories. In this video, I'll tell you about 9 royal jewels made by Cartier, each one connected to the monarchies of Britain, Belgium, Monaco, and Greece. These are brooches and tiaras that have been part of royal collections for decades, passed down through generations, and at times unexpectedly returned to the spotlight. We'll recall who wore them, what they symbolized, and why Cartier became the jeweler entrusted with the most meaningful commissions: crowns, wedding gifts, and personal heirlooms. And at the end of the video, I'll reveal what unites all these jewels beyond the name of their maker. I'm sure this detail will surprise you. Let's begin with pieces most closely associated with the British royal family. Some of them were personal possessions of Queen Elizabeth II, while others once belonged to her mother or sister. Today, many of these jewels remain part of the royal collection and occasionally reappear at official events, and some have found a new home in museums, having returned to the Cartier collection. What unites them is this: they accompanied the royal women during special occasions, from weddings and jubilees to coronations, and each of these masterpieces was created by Cartier, a jeweler entrusted with what mattered most. Before we begin, please support my channel by clicking on the like and subscribe buttons. Thank you. Many royal jewels are admired for their craftsmanship, others for their history, but only a few can boast the rarity of the stone itself. The Williamson pink diamond brooch brings all of these elements together. At its center is a 23.6-carat pink diamond, one of the purest and largest in the world. And it all began with an uncut stone discovered by children beneath a tree in Tanzania. Like something out of a fairy tale, don't you think? The diamond was gifted to young Princess Elizabeth in 1947 by Canadian geologist John Williamson as a wedding present. He owned the mine where the stone had been found. Taking her time with the decision, the princess invited her grandmother, Queen Mary, to help decide how best to use such a rare gift. The two of them visited a workshop in London where the stone was cut, and, as it said, Queen Mary asked an endless stream of questions during the process. Together, Elizabeth and her jewel-savvy grandmother carefully considered how to turn the diamond into something worthy of its rarity, and finally settled on a brooch in the shape of a jonquil flower. The design was created by Frederick Mew of Cartier's London branch, and the setting included an additional 203 white diamonds. The result was a jewel not just fit for a princess, but truly emblematic of a new royal era. The brooch quickly became one of her favorites. You can spot it in early family portraits, at state visits, jubilees, weddings, and of course at her silver jubilee in 1977. Its pink center gently sparkled in Paris, in Canada, and even at G20 summits. The last time Elizabeth wore it was in 2014. And then, 10 years later, the jewel returned to the spotlight. In 2024, Queen Camilla wore the brooch for the first time at a garden party at Buckingham Palace. It was a truly touching moment, a rare diamond brought back into the light once again. But now let's shift from pink sparkle to cool blue elegance, because the next piece in our story is an Art Deco aquamarine brooch once worn by the Queen Mother. This jewel, like a sliver of clear sky, transports us to the refined world of the 1930s. What makes it so captivating? This brooch is one of those pieces that feels deeply personal and almost intimate, despite its noble origins. Its story begins in the 1930s. That's the likely period of its creation. Visually, it reflects the Art Deco era, and stylistically, it resembles the fashionable dress clips of the time. The design of the brooch suggests it could be separated and worn as a pair of clips. Though it seems no photo exists of the piece being worn in any form other than a single brooch. For many years, the brooch belonged to the Queen Mother. She wore it at significant events, including in March 1939 during the state visit of French President Albert Lebrun to Windsor Castle. After her death in 2002, the brooch was inherited by Queen Elizabeth II, but it didn't appear in her public outfits for quite some time. It remained tucked away in her private collection for over a decade, until she finally debuted it at Royal Ascot in June 2014. From then on, the brooch appeared occasionally, at garden parties, official visits, and even became part of one of the most anticipated outfits of the year, her 2015 Christmas broadcast ensemble. Interestingly, the brooch was worn both horizontally and vertically. The Queen typically favored the horizontal placement, as did her mother, but at a reception for military personnel in November 2014, she made an exception. Which way do you prefer? And if aquamarines evoke coolness and restraint, then our next pair of jewels speaks of warmth and vibrance. Let's turn to the Queen Mother's ruby floral clips, created by Cartier, of course. These pieces, like petals blooming across a royal gown, add both richness and refinement. These ruby clips, created by Cartier in the 1940s, were commissioned by the Queen Mother herself. She used her own gemstones for the design to match an existing ruby and diamond bracelet. The clips could be worn individually or together, and the Queen Mother often did both. In 1947, for example, she wore both clips with pearls during the 400th anniversary celebration of Trinity College in Cambridge. At other times, she fastened a single clip to her collar or dress, creating a precise accent, especially in evening looks. Their mirrored composition was a signature of the time, when such clips would adorn either side of a neckline or both straps of an evening gown. There's also an interesting detail tied to these clips. For a long time, many believed they were part of the famous Greville bequest, but that's not the case. Historian Christophe Vachadez confirmed that these jewels were commissioned directly by the Queen Mother and had no connection to the Greville inheritance. That clarification makes them feel all the more personal. After the Queen Mother's death in 2002, the clips were inherited by Queen Elizabeth II. She wore them only occasionally, but always with elegance and thought. One clip appeared in 2007 at a church service marking her diamond wedding anniversary, and the other made an appearance at Christmas in 2009. That bright red outfit really made the rubies pop. It would be lovely to see the ruby clips worn again by someone in the royal family. I can just imagine how perfectly they would suit Catherine, the Princess of Wales. Cartier's floral motifs take many forms, from the Queen Mother's vibrant ruby clips to an exquisitely delicate rose, which we'll talk about now. This brooch belonged to Princess Margaret, the sister of Queen Elizabeth II, and its story is one of elegance, romance, and symbolism all at once. Who would have thought that a delicate flower could become so admired and recognized, and not just at court? Cartier created the brooch in London in 1938. It features a lush three-dimensional rose adorned with round baguette and pavé-set diamonds, with airy leaves and a slender stem. The brooch entered Margaret's collection in 1952, presumably as a gift to mark one of her public engagements. Its most iconic appearance likely came in 1953, when the princess wore it on her gown at her sister's coronation as Queen Elizabeth II. She paired it with the Cartier halo tiara, and let's be honest, looked absolutely stunning. Throughout the 1950s, the brooch was a regular feature in her wardrobe. Margaret wore it to the Epsom races, at official events, on Commonwealth tours, and even in personal portrait sessions, including a famous series by Cecil Beaton for her 25th birthday. Interestingly, the brooch worked beautifully for both daytime and evening wear, despite its substantial size. Over time, though, Margaret wore it less frequently. The last known appearance came in the late 1950s, after which the brooch quietly disappeared from public view. What happened next? The brooch remained with the princess until her death in 2002. Then, in 2006, it was auctioned by her children at Christie's. Estimated at £15,000, £20,000, it ultimately sold for an astonishing £153,600 and returned to the Cartier collection. Cartier's talents didn't stop at floral forms. The house was also a master of tiaras, dazzling creations worn by women from royal houses across Europe. Let's now turn to a few of them, from the understated elegance of British royalty to the striking styles of princesses and grand duchesses. Each of these tiaras is unique in its own way, but they all share two things: Cartier's unmistakable craftsmanship and royal provenance. Shall we? Princess Anne's Aquamarine tiara has an intriguing history and a highly unusual design. Created by Cartier in platinum, diamonds, and large rectangular aquamarines, it draws the eye not just with its stones, but with its distinctive motif, inspired by pine cones. Why pine cones? Perhaps as a symbol of resilience and strength, qualities so essential to the Queen Mother, the tiara's first owner. King George VI gave the tiara to Queen Elizabeth as a gift for their silver wedding anniversary in 1948. She wore it rarely. It was only captured publicly twice, once at a royal gala performance of Shakespeare's Twelfth Night in 1950, and again at a charity ballet performance in 1951. For all its grace, it never became one of her favorites. In 1973, the tiara was given a second life when the Queen Mother gifted it to her granddaughter, Princess Anne, as a wedding present for her marriage to Captain Mark Phillips. Anne first wore it the following year, at a banquet marking the end of the Commonwealth Games in New Zealand. The tiara wasn't seen often during the 1970s and 80s, but in the 1990s, it underwent a notable transformation. Princess Anne had it redesigned slightly, removing the large central aquamarine, which became a separate brooch. Another aquamarine was repositioned to serve as the new centerpiece, and a third was turned into a pendant. Thus, instead of a single tiara, Anne ended up with an entire aquamarine set, a tiara, brooch, and pendant, which she could mix and match as needed. Such a practical decision beautifully reflects her personal style and thoughtful approach to her jewelry inheritance, don't you think? To this day, Anne wears the tiara for important events, from state banquets for visiting U.S. and Spanish leaders to more intimate garden parties at Buckingham Palace. The brooch and pendant have become cherished parts of her collection too, frequently appearing in daytime engagements. In fact, it seems this jewel has only gained strength thanks to its owner's bold reimagining. And now we turn to a tiara of a very different kind: bold, dramatic, and full of history, the Cartier India tiara, a piece with unexpected twists and a truly global story. The Cartier India tiara, made of sapphires, pearls, and diamonds, was originally crafted by Cartier in 1923 for the Countess of Granard. Its design was inspired by the jewels of Indian Maharajas and traditional Indian architecture, which gave the tiara a distinctive character and unique style. However, the Countess later returned the piece to Cartier, where the aquamarines were replaced with additional Art Deco diamond elements. In 1937, the tiara was acquired by Princess Marie-Louise, a granddaughter of Queen Victoria, who intended to wear it for the coronation of King George VI. Marie-Louise became known not only for the tiara, but also for her lively personality. During a portrait session with the famed photographer Cecil Beaton, he initially assumed she was an eccentric old lady, but quickly changed his mind, describing her as absolutely enchanting. One could say the tiara truly suited her spirit. Princess Marie-Louise had no children, and after her death in 1956, the tiara was inherited by her godson, Prince Richard of Gloucester. He was only 12 years old at the time, and his mother, Princess Alice, was reportedly less than thrilled with the gift, calling it too large and too heavy. When Prince Richard married, it was expected that his wife, Birgitte, would wear the tiara. However, following the unexpected death of his elder brother, Richard inherited the ducal title, and Birgitte gained access to the full Gloucester collection of jewels. Even so, the Cartier India tiara was not forgotten. It has since appeared at important events, from official receptions and Guildhall banquets to state dinners held for the leaders of the Netherlands and South Africa. Today, this lavish tiara remains a notable part of the Duchess of Gloucester's collection. Would you like to see it in person one day? Cartier's creations were never confined to just one country or royal court. The House of Cartier worked for monarchs around the globe, forging particularly close ties with European princely families. Their collections featured elegant and rare tiaras, commissioned specially for weddings, given as gifts by powerful houses, or crafted to symbolize dynastic unions. Let's now move beyond the British court and explore the Cartier jewels that enriched the stories of Monaco, Belgium, and Greece. Ahead of us are 3 tiaras, each with a unique tale, and sometimes a few secrets too. Grace Kelly's tiara is like a scene from a film, captured in diamonds. Cartier created this piece especially for the Princess of Monaco, and it immediately became part of not only her jewelry collection, but also her public image as the principality's new First Lady. The tiara was named after the Société des Bains de Mer, the powerful company that runs the Monte Carlo Casino and other key institutions in Monaco. They presented the tiara as a wedding gift in 1956 to the Hollywood actress who had become their princess. The construction of the tiara is unusual: 3 ruby and diamond scrolls on a delicate diamond frame, which can be detached and worn as brooches or pendants. Later, a pair of matching earrings and a ring were added, creating a miniature parure. Although Grace owned other, more traditional tiaras, this one became the most iconic. She chose it for a gala performance at the Monte Carlo Opera House on the eve of her religious wedding, an image that would become timeless. In 1959, the tiara accompanied her to Paris and the Vatican during state visits, but more often, Grace wore its individual elements, as brooches, hair ornaments, or pendants. These pieces frequently appeared at family occasions, the christenings of her children, milestone birthdays, and National Day celebrations. After Grace's untimely death in 1982, the tiara remained in the princely family's collection. Interestingly, no other woman of the Grimaldi family has been seen wearing it as a tiara since. But who knows, perhaps one day we'll see it once again on Monaco's current princess? And that's not all. Cartier created an exact replica of the tiara for the film Grace of Monaco, starring Nicole Kidman. While the movie itself sparked mixed reactions, the replica was undeniably well-crafted. Today, the original tiara, like many others, continues to appear in Cartier exhibitions around the world. Ready for the next story? This one features a queen, a garland-style tiara, and a touch of family drama, but more on that in just a moment. If the previous tiara evoked cinematic romance, this one speaks of noble restraint and quiet strength. The Cartier Bando tiara, created in 1910, became a favorite of Queen Elizabeth of Belgium, who was born a Bavarian duchess and married King Albert I. By the time she acquired the tiara, she was already queen, and Cartier designed for her this elegant platinum and diamond piece in the fashionable garland style of the day, featuring scrolling and leafy motifs with a large central stone. Queen Elizabeth wore the tiara low across her forehead, as was the fashion of the era, transforming it into a delicate frame for her face. She wore it to important events, including the religious wedding of her son, Crown Prince Leopold, in 1926, and the wedding ball of her grandson, the future King Baudouin, in 1960. She remained loyal to this tiara even after her husband's death, perhaps because it had accompanied her through so many cherished moments in her life. After Queen Elizabeth passed away in 1965, the tiara was inherited by her son, former King Leopold III. It was later worn by his second wife, Princess Lilian, Princess of Wreath, and this is where the story becomes more complex. In 1987, a few years after Leopold's death, Lilian sold the tiara back to Cartier. Rumor has it that she did so without informing the rest of the royal family, which caused some tension. Still, the tiara was her legal property, and she exercised her right to part with it as she chose. Today, the tiara is no longer seen on Belgian princesses, but it can be admired in museum exhibitions. Now part of Cartier's collection, it is displayed around the world, a testament not only to fine craftsmanship, but also to the layered, sometimes dramatic history of royal families. And now we're nearing the final chapter in our journey, a wreath of diamond leaves and one of the most unusual princesses ever to wear a tiara bearing the Bonaparte name. This tiara is more than just a piece of jewelry. It's a symbol of dynasty, free thought, and an extraordinary life. The Cartier olive wreath. Tiara was created for Princess Marie Bonaparte, the great-granddaughter of Lucien Bonaparte, one of Napoleon's younger brothers. With such a lineage, it's no surprise she was destined to wear jewels of exceptional scale. The tiara, designed as a wreath of olive leaves, was made by Cartier for Marie's wedding to Prince George of Greece and Denmark in 1907. It was even displayed in Cartier's shop window as part of her bridal trousseau. What made it truly remarkable was its versatility. The 11 diamond olives could be swapped for emeralds or rubies, and the central pear-shaped diamond could be replaced with a diamond star. The tiara could even be worn upside down, an astonishing level of flexibility for such an early creation. Marie wore this jewel throughout her life, to balls, weddings, and coronations. One of the most memorable moments came at the coronation of Queen Elizabeth II in 1953, when the princess arrived wearing the tiara and spent the ceremony psychoanalyzing the behavior of her seatmate, the future president of France, François Mitterrand. That was Marie in a nutshell. Dazzling, independent, and intellectual. She was not only a princess, but also a respected psychoanalyst, a close friend of Sigmund Freud, and the person who helped him escape the Nazis. After her death in 1962, the tiara was inherited by her daughter, Princess Eugenie of Greece, and later passed to her grandchildren. In 1999, missing its central diamond and removable gemstones, the tiara was sold at auction and acquired by the Albion Art Institute. Today, it travels the world as part of Cartier exhibitions, and that's certainly a better fate than disappearing or gathering dust in a private vault. 9 jewels, 9 life stories, 4 royal houses, and 1 jeweler that connects them all. But there's one more thread that ties these treasures together today. They are all part of the spectacular Cartier exhibition, currently on view in London at the Victoria and Albert Museum. With more than 350 objects on display, from historic jewels to iconic timepieces and miniature masterpieces, the exhibition tells the story of Cartier's legacy in art, design, and craftsmanship from the early 20th century to the present day. If you happen to be in London before November 16th, 2025, don't miss the chance to see these treasures in person. And if you've already had a chance to visit, let me know in the comments which pieces left the biggest impression on you. Thank you for joining me on this royal jewelry journey. If you enjoyed the video, please give it a like, share it with your friends, and of course, subscribe to the channel so you don't miss the next stories of jewels with a royal past. See you very soon. There are still so many brilliant tales ahead.